This video is bottling your homebrew beer. So you need your beer, your bottles, your caps and your capper, a bottling bucket. This is your bottling wand or bottle filler. It clips on to that, and there's a little spring, and when you push down the beer comes out, and when you lift up the beer stops. I also have my auto siphon to take the beer from my carboy and put it into my bottling buckets. You'll need one of these to sterilize your beers or your beer bottles, and I use Star Sand because it's no rinse. You just put it in there, bottles upside down, pump them up, cover them with foam, let them drain. You don't have to rinse, and you can fill them up with beer. You'll also need priming sugar. So for most beers you use 3/4 of a cup of corn sugar and 2 cups of water. Bring that to a boil for 10-15 minutes, and then you can add that to your bottling bucket. If you're doing different types of beer, you might need different levels of carbonation, so that amount of corn sugar can change, but rule of thumb is 3/4 of a cup and 2 cups of water. I'll just give you a couple tips. When you're fermenting your beer, you want splashing to introduce oxygen, but when you're going to bottle your beer, you don't want to splash, so you want to put your carboy or bucket and try to avoid splashing. Everything comes in contact with your beer has to be cleaned and sanitized, and for cleaning, I prefer this stuff. You don't want to use anything that's scented because it may affect the taste of your beer. Sanitize everything inside and out, so the auto siphon you have to clean inside. Bring sanitizing fluid all the way to the top, and you'll have to wash the outside of this. And for doing the bottles of beer and your beer caps as well, and like I said, this is Star Sand, so it's a no rinse sanitizer, so you can just let the bottles drain. You do not have to rinse them. Now that everything's clean and sanitized, you're ready to rack your beer. So your auto siphon goes into your beer and hose just runs into your bottling bucket. You want to make sure your spout is closed or you'll make a mess and get your dog or cat drunk. First thing we'll do is we'll take our priming sugar, corn sugar and water that's boiled, and we'll pour that into the buckets. I let mine cool down for a bit. It's probably a good idea, but you don't have to do that. And now we'll transfer the beer on top of the sugar. So you give it a few pumps and gravity will do the rest. So you always want your bottling bucket lower than your beer. And again, you want to try to avoid splashing. I'd also recommend keeping a small amount of sanitizer left, and I have some in a bucket so I can put my bottle filler in there when I need to cap some bottles. So we'll let that go. It'll take about 10 minutes. So now all the beer is into my bottling bucket. My bottling bucket is American, so it's 5 US gallons, so it barely fits a 23-liter beer kit. There's a little bit of beer left. I might just pour that into a glass just to taste it, but I don't want to get too much sediment in my beer, so I'm going to leave that where it is. So I've now got my hose and my bottling filler, bottle wand or whatever, hooked up, and I'm ready to bottle my beer. Don't forget to open the spigot. Beer won't come out until you press down. So remember, you have to clean the inside and outside of everything that comes in contact with your beer. So this will be in contact with your beer, inside and out. So I want to make sure it's sanitized. It's somebody's favorite time of the day. Gizmo. Go away. So when you let it up, the spring stops and the beer will stop flowing. The sanitizer's here. If you need to grab another bottle, you can just rest it in there. I usually fill up a bottle a couple inches and then just let it sit. You will spill beer, so any animals in the house will probably get a taste, but you want to make sure they stay away. And you're in at the lesson. So I usually fill them up and leave about an inch of space, and then basically you put on a cap and use your bottle capner and crimp it on. And it's sealed all around. So it'll take about 2 weeks before it's carbonated enough. I would store them upright and refrigerate them upright. It is homebrew, so there will be some sediment in there. I'd also recommend you pour it into a glass and leave the last centimeter or two in the bottle so you don't get the sediment in your drink. The sediment is harmless. It just, most people don't want things floating in their beer. Once all that's done, you get the joy of cleaning. So again, use a non-scented soap. If you have stubborn deposits or whatever, you can use OxyClean or bastardized OxyClean from Walmart. The only thing with that is I find it leaves a slippery film, so you might want to rinse it a few times just to get rid of the film. And 2 weeks, put one in the fridge, leave it for a couple days and try it, and if it's not carbonated enough, just wait another week or two, but it shouldn't take more than 3 weeks. So enjoy.